Listen closely. I need to tell you something that might shatter everything you believe about your future, about freedom, about the very structure of the life you're building right now. It's a truth so simple, so obvious, that we've collectively agreed to ignore it. Generation after generation, like sleepwalkers marching toward a cliff, we've convinced ourselves is paradise. You know that golden vision you carry? The one where, after 40 years of grinding away your soul in fluorescent-lit offices, you'll finally emerge into the sunlight of retirement, free at last to live the life you've always dreamed of. That vision where happiness waits patiently at the finish line, arms open, ready to embrace you after decades of sacrifice. It's a mirage, a beautiful, devastating mirage that has stolen more lives than any war, more joy than any tragedy, more presence than any distraction ever could. And the most heartbreaking part? We defend this illusion with our very lives, mistaking our chains for safety, our postponement for wisdom. Alan Watts saw through this madness decades ago. He watched entire generations sacrifice their dancing years for a promise of rest that, when it finally arrived, found them too exhausted, too broken, too disconnected from themselves to even remember how to dance. He called it the most successful hoax ever perpetrated on the human spirit. Let me paint you a picture of how deep this deception runs. Right now, as you listen to these words, there are millions of people sitting in traffic, hearts racing with stress, marriages crumbling from neglect, children growing up with absent parents, all in service of a future moment that exists only in their imagination. They're trading irreplaceable todays for hypothetical tomorrows and calling it responsibility. The data is devastating. When researchers at the University of Michigan tracked thousands of retirees, they discovered something that should have made headlines worldwide. Depression rates spiked by 40% after retirement. 40%. These aren't people who failed to save enough money. These are the success stories, the ones who made it to the promised land. And what did they find there? Emptiness. Loss of purpose. The terrifying realization that they'd spent their entire lives preparing to live, only to discover they'd forgotten how. But to understand how we got here, we need to travel back to 1889, to the office of Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor of Germany. Facing political pressure and an aging workforce, Bismarck invented what would become the modern retirement system. He set the retirement age at 65. Want to know the average life expectancy at that time? 47. The system was never designed for decades of leisure. It was designed to move older workers out and younger ones in, a conveyor belt of human productivity that we've somehow mistaken for the natural order of things. Fast forward to today, and this industrial age invention has mutated into something far more insidious. It's become a religion, complete with its own dogma, its own rituals of sacrifice, its own promise of salvation. We genuflect before our 401ks, we tithe to our pension funds, we confess our financial sins to advisors who promise absolution through compound interest. But here's what Alan Watts understood that most miss. Life isn't a journey with a destination. It's not a race to be won or a mountain to be climbed. Life is more like music, like dance. You don't dance to arrive at a particular spot on the floor. You don't listen to a song to reach the end. The whole point is the experience itself, moment by moment, beat by beat. Imagine if we approached music the way we approach life. The conductor would rush the orchestra through the symphony, desperate to reach the final note. The dancers would sprint across the floor, trying to finish the dance as quickly as possible. It would be absurd, wouldn't it? Yet this is exactly how we live, rushing through our days, our years, our relationships, all to arrive at some imaginary finish line where we believe real life begins. The Japanese have a word, Ikigai, which translates roughly to reason for being. It's not about retirement or reaching a finish line. It's about finding purpose in the everyday, meaning in the mundane, joy in the journey itself. Studies of the longest-lived communities in Okinawa show that they don't even have a word for retirement. They have Ikigai instead, a reason to wake up every morning that has nothing to do with age or employment status. Let me share something that might disturb you. Right now, your identity is likely so intertwined with your career that you can't imagine who you'd be without it. When someone asks, "Who are you?" you probably respond with what you do for work. I'm an accountant. I'm a teacher. I'm a manager. But you're not your job. You never were. You're a consciousness experiencing reality through a temporary human form, and you've forgotten this fundamental truth in the rush to earn, to achieve, to secure. Psychologists call this identity foreclosure, when we prematurely lock ourselves into an identity without exploring who we really are. We become our roles, our titles, our salary brackets. And when retirement finally arrives, when those external markers of identity are stripped away, people experience what researchers call retirement syndrome, a genuine psychological crisis where the fundamental question, "Who am I?" has no answer. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, wrote that everything can be taken from a person but one thing: the freedom to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances. Think about that. A man in the most extreme deprivation imaginable found more freedom than most of us experience in our comfortable, predictable lives. Why? Because he understood that freedom isn't about external circumstances. It's about internal choice. The Harvard study of adult development, spanning over 80 years, revealed something that should revolutionize how we think about success. The single greatest predictor of happiness and health isn't career achievement or financial security. It's the quality of our relationships. Yet what do we sacrifice first when work demands more? Our relationships. We skip dinner with family for overtime. We cancel plans with friends for deadlines. We postpone intimacy for productivity, always promising ourselves we'll make up for it later, in retirement, when we have time. But time isn't waiting for us to be ready. While we're busy preparing for life, life is happening. Children are growing up without really knowing their parents. Marriages are becoming business partnerships. Two exhausted people managing logistics instead of cultivating love. Friendships are atrophying from neglect, replaced by LinkedIn connections and Facebook likes. The body keeps score of this betrayal. The World Health Organization now classifies burnout as an official medical diagnosis. Chronic stress is literally killing us, causing everything from heart disease to autoimmune disorders, from anxiety to early onset dementia. We're destroying our bodies in service of a future where we'll supposedly enjoy them. The irony would be laughable if it weren't so tragic. And here's the darkest truth of all: many of us won't even make it to retirement in good health. The CDC reports that 60% of adults over 65 live with at least 2 chronic conditions. 2 out of 3 retirees deal with serious health issues that prevent them from enjoying the freedom they worked their entire lives to achieve. They saved money but lost vitality. They secured finances but sacrificed wellness. Eckhart Tolle calls this psychological time, the habit of living anywhere but the present moment. We're either lost in memories of the past or anxieties about the future, never fully here, never fully now. This mental time travel becomes so habitual that even when we achieve our goals, even when we reach retirement, our minds keep running the same program, seeking the next thing, the next worry, the next reason to postpone presence. But what if there's another way? What if freedom isn't something you arrive at but something you practice? What if the entire framework is wrong and we've been asking the wrong questions all along? Alan Watts suggested a radical experiment. He asked his students to imagine what they would do if money were no object, if survival wasn't a concern. Most couldn't answer. They'd been so conditioned to think in terms of earning and securing that they'd forgotten how to think in terms of living and being. This isn't about becoming irresponsible or abandoning all structure. It's about recognizing that security is an illusion anyway. Nassim Taleb's concept of black swan events proves this. Unpredictable, rare occurrences, market crashes, pandemics, personal tragedies, can destroy the most carefully laid plans in an instant. The person who built their entire life around a retirement plan that gets wiped out by a medical emergency isn't more secure than someone who chose to live fully along the way. They're just more bitter. So what's the alternative? How do we break free from this psychological prison without destroying our lives in the process? First, we reclaim the present moment. This isn't some mystical concept. It's a practical shift in attention. Instead of treating today as a stepping stone to tomorrow, we treat it as the main event. We bring the quality of attention we're saving for retirement into this moment, right now. We taste our coffee instead of gulping it while checking emails. We listen to our children's stories instead of half hearing them while planning tomorrow's meetings. We make love with presence instead of rushing through intimacy like another task to complete. Research by Dr. Barbara Fredrickson shows that these micro moments of genuine connection and presence have a cumulative effect more powerful than any major life change. Small, consistent choices to be present literally rewire our brains for happiness and resilience. You don't need to wait for retirement to start this. You can begin with your next breath. Second, we cultivate what matters now, not later. Those hobbies you're saving for retirement, start them now, even if just for 30 minutes a week. That book you'll write someday, write one paragraph today. That garden you'll plant when you have time, plant one seed this weekend. That friend you'll reconnect with eventually, send them a message right now. Third, we redefine success. Instead of measuring life by how much we've accumulated for later, we measure it by how fully we're living today. Did you learn something new? Did you help someone? Did you experience beauty? Did you express love? These aren't consolation prizes while you wait for real success. This is real success, the only success that actually exists. Fourth, we practice dying before we die. The Stoics called this memento mori, remembering death. Not to be morbid, but to be alive. When you truly grasp your mortality, not intellectually but viscerally, everything changes. The promotion seems less important than the sunset. The bank balance matters less than the belly laugh. The retirement plan pales compared to the present moment because you finally understand that the present moment is all you ever have, all you ever had, all you ever will have. There's a Zen story about a student who asked his master, "How long will it take me to gain enlightenment?" The master replied, 10 years. The student, eager to progress faster, asked, "What if I work twice as hard?" The master replied, "Then it will take 20 years." This is the paradox we must embrace. The harder we chase future freedom, the further it recedes. The more we grasp for tomorrow's happiness, the more today's slips through our fingers. But when we stop, when we arrive here, now, in this moment, we discover something extraordinary. We're already free. We always were. We just forgot to notice. I want to leave you with this. Every moment you spend reading this, someone your age is taking their last breath. Someone who planned meticulously for retirement is discovering they have 3 months to live. Someone who postponed their dreams for decades is realizing they'll never achieve them. This isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to wake you up. The lie isn't just about retirement. It's about the belief that life happens later, that happiness is a reward for suffering, that freedom is something you earn rather than something you embody. The truth is so much simpler and so much more radical. Life is happening now. Freedom is available now. Joy is possible now. You don't need permission to start living. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need to earn the right to be happy. You just need to choose it, moment by moment, breath by breath, starting now. Alan Watts said we've been tricked into walking a treadmill toward a horizon that keeps moving away. But you can step off the treadmill anytime you choose. You can dance instead of march. You can play instead of perform. You can live instead of prepare to live. The question isn't whether you'll reach retirement with enough money. The question is whether you'll reach death with enough life. And that question can only be answered by how you choose to spend this day, this hour, this precious, irreplaceable moment. So right now, before you click away, before you return to the endless scroll, the endless chase, the endless postponement, pause, take one deep breath. Feel your aliveness. Remember who you are beneath the roles, beneath the responsibilities, beneath the fear. You are not a future retiree. You are not a present employee. You are consciousness itself, experiencing the miracle of existence through human form. This is your life, not tomorrow's life, not retirement's life. This life, right now. The dance has already begun. The music is already playing. The only question is, will you keep sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect moment to join in? Or will you realize that this moment, imperfect as it seems, is the only dance floor that actually exists? The choice, as it always has been, is yours.